This could spell big, big trouble for Tish.
On Valentine's Day a year ago, roses are red, violets are blue. No one's above the law, even when you think the rules don't apply to you.
Donald Trump and the other defendants have committed persistent and repeated fraud. Last week, we proved that in our motion for summary judgment. Today, we will prove our other claims. My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day. She, of course, referring to Donald Trump.
This could be huge trouble for Tish. For Letitia James, we're hearing words like subpoena, but even more so importantly, words like benefit, or phrases like benefit of the doubt.
Intelligence sources today out of New York, Eric, that subpoenas have gone out to mortgage companies, insurance companies, and title companies regarding Tish James. Subpoenas have been sent out now to the companies that brought them in under oath to go before a grand jury. So there's movement, is what the story is I just got last night.
Our next guest using that tweet against her. No one is above the law, even when you think the rules don't apply to you. Letitia James. Florida Congressman and Florida gubernatorial candidate Byron Donalds is with us. Congressman, it's great to see you. Pretty ironic. Karma, payback, revenge, all of them apply here. Do you think the DOJ actually charges her?
Well, look, if it's clear that she violated the law and she was committing mortgage fraud, not to mention, as I understand it, if you're going to be the New York Attorney General, how are you claiming that you live in another state? That just doesn't work. And so if all these things pan out to be true, she should be charged. She was quick to charge Donald Trump, saying that he put fraudulent information on a loan application. Well, that's what she's accused of doing right now. And she also accused Donald Trump of saying that Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million. I mean, we all know that was just stupid and a lie. So if they go through their investigation and they find evidence, probable cause, that she was committing mortgage fraud for her own benefit, of course she should be charged. That's the way our system of justice works.
It all happened in 2023. So that's when she falsified these records, allegedly. And that was the same year she put Donald Trump on trial. Do you have any concerns about her being married to her father? Is that something we need to look into?
Listen, I think everybody's got concerns about that one. That's just not something that everybody thinks is cool. I don't. It's just weird, to quote a former person running for the vice presidency that we won't talk about. But look, at the end of the day, this is what happens. You have these officials who want to go on these witch hunts, while at the same time they're doing dirt behind the shadows. In the shadows, it's simply wrong. She should be held accountable like anybody else.
Today's report is big, and it could spell major legal trouble for New York Attorney General Letitia James. Federal investigators have reportedly issued subpoenas to several mortgage lenders, title agencies, and insurance providers, all in an effort to dig into Letitia James' real estate dealings. It appears the Department of Justice is building a criminal case. The controversy centers around a property in Virginia, which James co-owns allegedly with a family member, her niece. The issue is the documents suggest that she claimed this home would be her primary residence, a designation that would qualify her for better mortgage terms.
Here are a couple of examples of how it most commonly gets discussed. If you're a current homeowner and you're purchasing a home that is of lesser quality than the one that you're already in, oftentimes that's going to get questioned.
One of the hardest things to do as a loan officer is just to say, no, I don't want to do that loan. And recently I had somebody that came to me that told me they wanted to buy a small little condo, about $170,000, $180,000. And I thought to myself, okay, I can help you do that. I was kind of curious to see what he was going to find in that price range. He told me he'd already found the property. I was like, great. So I said, do the application. And when I get the application back, I'm looking at the credit report and I'm thinking to myself, there's a mortgage on this credit report that is more than the actual condo that he wants to buy. And I look up the address that the person lives and I see this is a substantial house, $600,000 home. So I'm like, why does this guy want to move into this little condo? So I call him up and I ask, I'm like, what's actually going on here? Like, this condo is, less than 1,000 square feet, and you have a really substantial home, and what's going on?
And even if you're able to explain away why you might be downgrading, a lot of times the underwriter is going to include in your file a post-close condition that checks the occupancy status after close of escrow.
Because you have to remember that lenders find homes that you will actually live in lower risk, because you're more likely to pay your mortgage on a home that you actually live in. But as the New York Attorney General, she's required to reside in New York. So either she wasn't living in Virginia and committed loan fraud, or she was ineligible to hold her current office as the New York Attorney General. But remember, 2 weeks prior to her moving into this Virginia property, she supposedly sent them a casual email saying, "Oops, I will not be occupying the residence. My niece Shamise will be the sole occupant." First off, they should have thrown the loan out altogether as soon as they received her email claiming that she will no longer be occupying the dwelling.
And what the client tells me is that he plans on moving out of this big house and moving into this little condo. And at this point, I ask a bunch of other questions, and I just doesn't feel good to me.
Another way it gets discovered is through insurance policy changes right after you close escrow. So say you purchase a home as a primary, but you use it actually as an investment property, and you close the loan showing a policy that is for a primary residence, but then after close of escrow, you switch that to a landlord type policy. That's going to flag the system, and they're going to have to tell your lender.
Because what I'm thinking is he's going to purchase this condo. He's trying to buy it as a primary residence, but he's going to turn it into an investment property. The reason that he would do that is so he doesn't have to put 20% down, and he would get a lower interest rate. But I know that an underwriter, if I pick that up in about 6 seconds, an underwriter is going to pick that up immediately, and there's no way that this loan is going to go through. So after thinking about it for a minute, I said to the borrower, I was like, you can purchase this thing as an investment property. You can't purchase this as a primary resident. It just looks like an investment property. And when it looks that way, I'm not 100% sure that this is, but I'm pretty sure that most people or an underwriter is not going to accept the fact that you're moving from this $600,000 house into this $170,000 condo. They're just not going to buy into that. I was like, I'm going to have to pass on that loan unless you want to do it as an investment.
Mortgage fraud is considered to be a Class C felony. Well, I don't know anyone that's gone to prison for occupancy fraud. I do know someone that had their note called. This person was required to refinance the loan immediately into an investment property, and they couldn't. They did not qualify. They did not have the amount of equity that they needed. They could not qualify with their debt to income ratio. They could only qualify with it being a loan for a primary residence because it has lower interest rates, lower fees, etc. So what happened? They were foreclosed upon. Other red flags that lenders look out for: voter registration, property tax bills, wherever they're sent, social media, you'd be surprised, auto registration, utility bills. There are all sorts of different ways that occupancy fraud can be discovered. Do not risk it. There are so many ways to do it right. Why would you chance it?
Letitia James likes to chop it up to, why would I claim to live in Virginia? That would be a long drive to the office.
They're claiming that I engaged in mortgage fraud, that I somehow decided that I was a resident of Virginia, which would be some commute every morning to the office at 28 Liberty.
She's completely ignoring the fact that whether she planned to live there or not, she was giving better mortgage terms because she claimed that she would be living at the property on the documents. And that's fraud.
It just seems to me so incredibly dumb that it's hard to believe, right? That the sitting Attorney General of New York would list her principal residence in Virginia, knowing that she's stepping into a beehive, right? I mean, you know, a hornet's nest, whatever you want to call it, with regard to Trump. I mean, I guess I'm not quite yet giving her the benefit of the doubt, because it seems to me so ridiculous that you would think you could get away with that.
Look, I don't know what her intention was when she signed that power of attorney claiming that this home in Virginia was going to be her principal residence. But, you know, everything happens in context, right, Dan? I mean, the context of that document, it's 2023. Joe Biden is the president. 2023, it's in her mind, Joe Biden is going to be reelected president, and she's doing all that she can in 2023 to prevent Donald J. Trump from being elected president. So, and it's in Virginia. You know, who's going to be looking at this document? Who's going to be even aware that she's buying this home in Virginia? So, again, I don't know what her intentions were, but I'm pointing to the atmospherics that surrounded, you know, her conduct in 2023. If she indeed did sign that power of attorney, which it looks like she did, where she attested that this was going to be her personal residence, perhaps she thought that it was never going to be uncovered.
And I got to tell you guys, I wouldn't give her any benefit of the doubt. Now, when it comes to why would I claim to live in Virginia and commute to New York? Well, I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is an easy one. This one is simple, okay? Because you know what you have to do in order to receive a mortgage? No, the answer is not fraudulently make up shit and lie like Letitia James, Big Tish. What you have to do is you have to submit an application. And on that application, it will ask, will this be your primary residence? Or will this be a secondary or an income property? And I'm anxiously awaiting the day that we receive the information, the documents, and I can share it with you guys here on a video of what Big Tish put down. Which would then mean, if it's what we would expect, that not only did she lie on the application to get the lower mortgage rate and scam and cheat the system, in essence, commit fraud, acts of fraud, but then on top of that, she lied again now as she tries to convince everyone, convince the media, convince her boss, convince the Department of Justice that that's not what she did. So then it's like, well, if it comes out, if it ends up being true that that's what she did, she can't be trusted at all. I mean, granted, I'm sure at this point I'm preaching to the choir, right?
That's exactly what was going on. She figured she would sue Trump over and over to deter him from running for president again, and then have the public turn against him and not vote for him. That way, Biden will be in power and her fraudulent doings will stay under wraps. Boy, was she wrong. And I think she just got way too comfortable. Like, she really began to think that she was untouchable. And not to mention, they really thought Biden was going to assume office again. Sleepy Joe was rapidly declining before our eyes, and yet they paraded him around as if he had a clue what was going on in the world around him. That's elder abuse. And Jill allowed this to go on every single day, right in her face.
We got a little bit of a different scenery today. And it's pretty quiet out here. This is actually one of the perks. This won't always be this way. It is, my watch is actually, I need to fix the date. Today's the 7th. But I would imagine in about 2-3 weeks, this place is going to be packed. There's rumblings, folks talking about how tourism is going to be down because of President Trump, yada, yada, yada. But I'll be the judge of that, and I'll come back here and I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll see if that's true. And if so, these Florida tourists showing up, maybe some of whom from Canada, our neighbors to the north, soon to be the 51st state, Thank you guys for contributing to our income here and helping offset and possibly in the future eliminating property taxes. And if you guys haven't seen that video, then go check it out after this one. It's one of the videos I did earlier today. I think this is video number 7 today. And I may actually be going for number 8, maybe number 9. Who knows? We may even knock out 10 today. It seems as though YouTube's numbers are down and impressions and reach and viewership is just sporadic. But I'm not taking it personally. I'm just continuing to bring you guys these stories, share this news, this information, while also continuously working and versatility. This is something we used to talk about a long time ago: diversity, security, and cash flow. And so we have the security, we got the cash flow. We want to maintain that cash flow. So now we're introducing that diversity component. And I actually started a new channel, and it's going pretty well. So I'll be over there making videos too. And this is where we'll be having an afternoon snack, or maybe early dinner, supper. I don't know what this video quality is going to look like or sound either. I didn't make any adjustments, but we both just got new phones yesterday, so there's that. So I got a cheeseburger, beer, tavern, Big John.
You might have big nose.
Tavern chicken.
Tavern salad with chicken.
And just
Tavern
chicken.
bowl with chicken.
Fellas, y'all better find better wives. Anyways, if the DOJ is smart, her Virginia mortgage fraud case should be handled in Virginia and not New York. That way, she won't have the home turf advantage. James hasn't remained silent on the issue. Her office has labeled this entire investigation as a political hit job, saying Trump wants retribution and finally pulled up to the J's. Like she really thinks this is retaliation after she won a major fraud case against him. Now, what case? The one where Trump was ordered to pay nearly $500 million. Well, he's obviously appealing the ruling, and rightfully so. She has claimed 1,000,000 times that the allegations are baseless, but I've never heard her say that she's innocent.
All right, let's run down the list of posts circulating here in regard to Big Tish. New York AG, NYAG, New York Attorney General, or soon to be former Attorney General, Letitia James, who pursued a $454 million lawsuit against Trump for asset inflation fraud, is accused of mortgage fraud. The FHFA alleges Tish James falsified records by listing her father as her husband on a 1983 loan, misrepresented her Brooklyn property as 4 units, actually 5, to secure a 2.7% HAMP loan in 2011, and claimed a Virginia home as her primary residence in 2023, potentially violating New York residency laws. The DOJ is investigating with possible wire fraud charges looming. But if you think about it, it's like, all right, we're talking about Virginia. In Virginia, maybe there's a mistake. Maybe there's some she overlooked the circumstantial changes that were occurring immediately after closing and getting this lower interest rate. But I'm beginning to see the developing of a pattern here. 1983, 2011, 2023. I don't think she just now figured out that she's committing fraud, allegedly. Amuse says, lawfare, New York taxpayers. This one, if you're in New York, you're going to be pissed. New York taxpayers will be paying for AG Letitia James's mortgage fraud trial defense costs. The AG defrauded New Yorkers for decades, and now they're going to have to pay for her defense. And Democrats included the provision in the budget to cover her legal and other related expenses. Wow. Kathy Hochul, breaking news. Kathy Hochul and Albany Democrats slipped language into their budget that would allow taxpayer funds to be used to defend corrupt Letitia James from a federal investigation into her alleged fraudulent real estate dealings. Ironic that happened. Ironic that someone would introduce and include that language for a scenario that just so happens to be taking place. Exposed. Letitia James signed a power of attorney declaring a Virginia property her principal residence after explicitly telling her broker it would not be. Her lawyer, Abe Lowell, claims a subsequent document proves it was corrected, but that document actually predates the false declaration by 2 weeks. It just keeps getting better and better. Why? Roger Stone, he's got a good question. Why should New York taxpayers foot the bill for Letitia James's legal defense against her personal mortgage fraud, her cover-up of a sexual assault by her staff members, and her campaign finance fraud? Ooh, man, oh man. When it rains, it pours, right? It looks like it's raining in New York with this statue of this guy. Paul says, statue of an overweight black woman placed in Times Square. For those saying this looks like Tish James, please stop it. Tish James is much heavier, angrier, and will likely be in jail. New statue of plus-size woman in Times Square roasted online compared to Letitia James.
It's baseless. This is retribution. He's just out to get me. But she has never stated that she's innocent and that she didn't do anything wrong. And in fact, in an interview with Chris Hayes, it almost sounded to me like she admitted to doing those things, just not to the extent of Trump. Take a listen.
But somehow, what I did was basically similar to what Donald Trump engaged in. And there's just no comparison. The allegations against me are totally baseless.
And here's where it gets a little murky. So Letitia James has already hired high-profile defense attorney Abby Lowell, you know, the one who previously represented Biden. And allegedly, the New York State Attorney General office is footing the legal bill. She is unhinged. Like, she cannot use state funds to defend her against personal mortgage fraud. And if it's true, that's a huge breach of ethics. To make matters worse, reports suggest her office has been leaking information to the New York Times, possibly turning members of her own staff into witnesses if the DOJ decides to move forward with the charges. That is a reckless legal strategy. Look, whatever you think this is, accountability or a political circus, the fact is the subpoenas are real, the documents are coming, and the clock is ticking. What do you all think? Is this real justice or a political theater? And should she be forced to step down imminently? If this kind of honest commentary brings you value, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any updates. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.